Okay, good morning, Emma. Hi, B from afar. Sorry about the chemical thing you're dealing with. Emma set space last week. I'm going to set space for the class this week. So that means I'm going to put you, Beta, when you hear this, and I'll let you know by email too, I'm going to put you on the calendar for next week. And so as we gather here together at this moment in time, this perfect point of our light holding the energy of the divine, the families, the intention of this earth, the outcome we are holding, we gather in the space of sacred sovereignty. We identify and declare again that we each are held within the fourfold cocoon, ourself and our loved ones, and we do that intensely for B and Sarah and Amadou and their home and their land. That cocoon begin to dissipate, dissolve, transform any energies that would harm. Keep all energies that would harm out of our spaces, our homes, and our land. So we are really grateful to be where we are, together applying what we have learned and ready to know more so that we can participate in more expansive ways. So we invite those teams, those beings within fields of unlimited creativity, intelligence, and problem solving to be here guiding us and expanding all that we do into the entirety of our living biofield of energy. So our circle is declared, set, anchored, and activated, and so it is. Okay, so here we are, Emma, and B by far vicariously so. So let's put ourselves in the circle. And I will begin by saying I'm Sharon Raji Maynard here on Whidbey Island. And it is a day that will be, looks overcast, but it may get sunny. Really, I want to put into our circle 32 individuals. I want to put into the circle Ukraine, Russia as a surrogate for those cultures of corruption and domination and violence. And the quality is transformation. Emma.
Emma in Williamstown, Massachusetts, and it is a rainy day. And so far we've been lucky that when it's time to go to the park, we have a little break in the rain. So even though it's extremely muddy, at least we're not being poured on. I would like to bring in $11 people. In 6 situations. And I guess steadfastness. Is what I'd like to bring in.
Okay, I am going to bring in, behalf of Beta, I'm going to bring in 12 people, which includes them and what their situation. And so we have a total of 55 individuals and any others that our team knows need to be in that divine good weaving basket, that they be there also. That all of the situations, 7 plus the network of Ukraine, Russia be there. That we have the qualities of steadfastness and transformation and restoration to wholeness, I'm going to say, for Beta and her family. We place all of that into the hands of those who are masters within energy, working with the divine good, knowing that they have the abilities to dissolve what seems impossible and open doors where there were none. And so it will be and is. Okay, well, let's start as usual with any questions or feedback or that we might want to put on the table. Anything you've got in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wonder about your experience working with two different kinds of situations that I'm personally running into, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. One is the sense of being caught in a loop. Like I think I've gone past it and then suddenly I'm back. So that kind of a loop. And the other thing is this, it's almost like, and they're related, it's like I can actually, it's like I have a plug somewhere in me.
Mhm.
And I'm feeling pretty good, and then all of a sudden something pulls the plug and everything, and then I'm like back to having no energy and no anything, just depleted. And so it seems like that's not uncommon.
Mhm.
This kind of stuck in a loop, and then this just sort of sudden depletion. And I have the tools to, to start to address this stuff, but it also gets super frustrating just to do like again and again and again. And it's like, how, I mean, it's sort of like, when I saw my eye doctor, I said, so should I just simply resign myself to the fact that my physical body is aging and I will now start seeing more and more things doubled? And he's like, no. And so, but it's a sense of like, should I resign myself to the fact that part of my being here on the planet has to do with being the person, kind of like you were saying last night, who shows the stuff so it can be named and dealt with, which kind of sucks.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that it's sort of like, are the tools that we have the tools that I would use? Am I missing something? I guess that's kind of like, am I just not using this tool skillfully? So that's kind of, yeah, that's my question. Maybe how do I be more skillful?
Oh, that's a good question. In my personal experience, for me, is if something's up and I kept cycling, there came a point of time where it stopped cycling because I'd gotten it totally weeded. Now we have Scotch broom here, which is totally invasive, and it's just very difficult. And that particular plant is going to take a long time. Blackberry is the same thing. To eradicate those plants, you can't do it in 1 or 2 seasons. It might take 7, and very intense work during those 7 seasons. Then there are other plants and weeds, we'll call them weeds, that get eradicated a lot more quickly. So each time you cycle back to what looks the same, all your, if you go back to the law, if it's in your field, it will manifest. So if it's manifesting in your field, that's another cycling showing up. You're back and you thought you had it all done, but oops, here's another one that's popped up. So what you could begin to do is say, okay, well, this looks the same as what I did, 4 months ago. You're talking to your team now. This looks like the same pattern, the same symptoms, I'll say, the same symptoms, because the symptoms are usually what we feel or see or sense in our physical world, I would say. And the pattern is what brought us there. So often we see the symptoms and we don't know what the pattern exactly is. So you could say, it looks like these symptoms are the same symptoms that showed up in my world 4 months ago, in which I did X, Y, Z, or I did, if you're like me, sometimes I don't even remember exactly what I did, you did it. And so it looks like the same thing that was in my world 4 months ago. Because remember, we're really in research too, right? So this is kind of a research thing. Looks like the same thing, that the same symptoms as 4 months ago. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you get yes or no. This is how I would look at it. Yeah, you're right. Same, looks like the same symptoms. Okay. When I did that work 4 months ago, let's say that 100% of the seed, the roots, the plant was there 4 months ago. 100%. Is that an agreement? Yeah, that's an agreement. Whatever was there 4 months ago was 100%. That's our baseline. How much of the underlying cause, seed, plant, blah, 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 is now here today? And I think what you would get is it would be like maybe 50%. You would see, then you could start pulling apart the effectiveness of that work.
Okay.
Yep, 50%. And so that you could kind of track for yourself. That's why, having a journal, you're the research project, you're learning on yourself. If you have clients coming to you, you're learning through the clients too, right? And so what are you learning? Isn't that, oh my gosh, that wasn't valuable, I wasn't good enough. That's not what you're learning. That's what you might assume, but it's not what you're learning. So who do you listen to? Your present body, mind saying you didn't do that well, or turning to those who know more, and say, let's pull this apart. How much is there today?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in my experience, that cycle stops. And sometimes, sometimes it happens with 3 or 4 soul integrations and activating the tag matrix. That might be enough, but it stops. It doesn't come back. And then other things, it might repeat and repeat, but I would be totally surprised if you didn't get that information like, oh no, there's 80% left, or there's 50, or and you could even take the tack at that second coming up. How much is left? 90%. Okay, then we're going to do whatever the work we're going to do today. You might do the evaluation page. Where is it today? And then once you've done that, then you might even say, what's the end result that I want in that situation?
Okay.
Do a new reality shift right away, you see, and then start being proactive and don't wait for symptoms, because there might be 20% left, there might be 30% left. Okay, now what more is there in the way? Now what more is there in the way before it comes up? You could take that tack too.
Okay.
We're really quite used to waiting till the symptoms happen to let us know that it's there. But once we know it has been there, we can be proactive and say, what is there today? Or what is there,
Okay.
I was thinking of this kind of thing this morning, thinking that we've been on the planet. I've been on the planet 80 years. I've been on the planet longer than any of you. So we'll say 80 years. So I've been on the planet for 80 years in this lifetime, in this body, in this work, 30 years in this work. Well, maybe going on to 40 in this work. And if I compare 40 years to the length of the time that stuff's been growing unabated. And then I wonder why I can't change it in a week.
Right.
I mean, we
Yeah.
really have we have not had any bigger picture to compare. We just want it done. We really want it all done today. Of course we do. But this is what we're dealing with. You see?
So a question that just jumped into my head, and I'll just
Of
blurt
course.
it out.
Okay.
Has this situation ever happened with a different group of beings in a different planet where they know it's successful?
They're saying yes.
Okay.
In a different galactic family group.
Okay.
They're saying yes. So our family group is not unique. I mean, they hopped over to us because their former hosts kept being depleted, right? However they were doing that. So that was a very good question. So then the next question I have is, are there things that we are doing that would be helpful for those others? And they're saying yes, and I'm going like, okay, get the plan, everything that we have done, everything that we have known, everything that we've created and called forth, apply it throughout the entire galactic region and beyond. This and better. Yes. Very important question. Because we aren't alone in the universe. I mean, we're not the only ones in the galaxy. We don't know those life forms. We don't know, but they exist. There's not just, what is it, 7 billion? How many's on the planet? 7 billion?
Too damn many. 9 billion? I don't know.
Yeah. And that's a drop in the bucket compared.
Right.
So yeah, let us be also the surrogate for everything and everyone everywhere.
And let them be the surrogates for us.
And
their successes
become
applied to us, and our successes ripple to whoever else needs
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So no, very important question. I had never even thought about that. So you see the value.
I mean, it's sort of like, I'm not the only one who experiences eye problems, right?
Right.
You know, and so if I'm not the only one who experiences eye problems, it's happening all over the world, then other beings must be experiencing or have experienced this.
Yeah.
And resolved it.
Yes, right. That's right. Okay. And we open the door for all of that and better.
Okay.
And better.
And better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my new motto. And
Me
better.
too. Me too. Me too. Oh, okay. So that's what I would say. And I think the two of them go hand in hand. So when you say pull the plug, to me, that's the same as a trigger, right? Something happens and then the plug gets pulled. That's a symptom. Feels like the plug's pulled. That's one symptom. The other symptom might be vertigo, or the other symptom might be something else. It's a symptom.
Right.
But that's how I would look at it. And I can just tell you from my experience that when, and I'm not saying that nothing ever comes up for me, because certainly it does, but I haven't felt in cycle stuff for a very long time.
Okay.
And there are times, I call it the crisis awareness walk, where there's sometimes, and it might be a planetary influence, or it might be that you have a cluster of triggers, and it's like one thing right after another for, and it might last for months, or in a planetary transit, it might last for a couple of years off and on, where it's one and I call that crisis awareness. It can really wear you down, and having no other help, it's really a difficult thing to get through, because one piles upon another, because you don't have time, energy to keep on top of it. And that's what's really important, to reach out, to have someone to reach out to, whether it's a mentor or a friend, or someone who knows what they're doing, and have them help move you through. So and that comes around periodically for everybody. Some people might call it the dark night of the soul, because it's one right after another.
Yeah, but I don't think our souls have dark nights.
Well, I know, but that's what it's called out there.
Yeah.
In the bigger world, the dark night of the soul. Yeah. So the other thing that in relation, because we're talking about some, about your eyes, there are, there are things that keep coming up that we haven't seen before, situations or causes that have this, that it's like, whoa, like I hadn't seen kidnapped souls down in the negative regions, right?
Right.
Or who were we working with? Where a soul from another galactic family was held in our regions.
Right.
I mean, I hadn't seen those before. Does that mean we're not competent? No, it means that, when you drain the pond, you drain the pond, which is different than the onion layer in that, we're getting to the cause, we're holding, but we're sweeping out in broader scale. That's really what we're doing, is sweeping out in broader scale, so that not only are we eliminating, but we're seeing more, so that when we get, it's gone. Anyway, so the couple of things, and it might be in relationship to your eyes, a couple of things this last week. And one of them is groups who were wounded in the galactic worlds that hid themselves away. And I don't know if I talked to you about that. It's like those Japanese soldiers soldiers that they got found and they didn't even know the war was over after how many many decades.
Right.
It's like I'm finding those. We're now proactively looking for them, but through doing the galactic work, I knew there had been battles. I knew there had been violence, and yet I wasn't being shown the violence. I was shown the sacred contracts. And I'm going like, I know there was violence, but they weren't opening that door yet. Whatever reason, they weren't opening the door yet. But now that definitely is something to check out. Is there any galactic influence of that nature, when you're working with yourself and others? And then the other thing was, is there in the genetic DNA, has something happened, like with the Utah nuclear stuff? The DNA got changed. And when the DNA got changed, those codes got changed and crippled. Literally, the physical DNA handed down was crippled, was twisted, making more vulnerability to certain things. And so what I'm finding is that they're leading me to genetic DNA. For some people, if it's a problem in the genetic DNA. Now we have the evolutionary codes for the blueprint, which includes new DNA, new organ codes, etc. And I know that given time, that that it probably would dissipate and override. But if you don't have time, let's go for it right away. So what they've had me do in relationship to, if this person is the symptom is coming from the genetic crippled DNA. Okay, we freeze frame it, of course, but what they do is have had me do is go back in time, do time travel to where the concept was inserted. And as we time travel along that family line, gathering up all the different experiences of that family to collapse them into one, which is when we call that the Rian collapsing into one, time and space now. But they have me go back clear to the concept that was inserted by the outsiders to prevent it from being inserted, and then letting that new energy come and dissipate, so that there's new energy flow. And then you can designate the energy flow for those codes, you see, and then holding it in imagination for this person, the new codes, right? And then for the last, I think, month, and I found it really helpful for me anyway, is like I use like 30 minutes listening to either Jalen's gong or a singing bowls, that kind of where the vibration is there. So I'm feeling it in my body, because it's hard to hold 30 minutes. But if I'm holding and letting it move through my body as if it's my client's body, and that those vibrations are singing awake the codes of the new, I'm finding that really helpful. I mean, almost every correction, but especially those really deep corrections, is to add just, and I usually do that, before I get up in the morning, or when I go to bed at night, or if I'm waking up in the middle of the night, I use that half-hour time, and it's all about being the body, letting the body vibrate, but vibrating in behalf of this client, for either an organ or for the DNA. That's how what I've been doing in relationship to the DNA change. And that's like been less than a week. And so we'll see what happens there.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
So, that's something in relationship to your eyes, something like that. And then again, see what, is there another process? Is there another, how can I, because the laws are the laws are what we're a foundation on, right? And the laws say you speak, they answer, what's there is going to manifest, they'll listen to you. So the laws are there. So, hey, I've got this. Now I'm going to apply that. Now, is there something that I can be given? Hey, check in with Tesla's geniuses and see what you're told, see what you bring through.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody in relationship to some of the individuals who are out there doing really good work, and I'm going like, these are just some of the products, what I call the products, and like some people might take the soul integration, disc creation, put those two together, and that would be their work. I mean, look at Brian Katie. She does the work. She does that one question set. She does that one process. That's what she does.
Right.
And she's influencing, she's probably influenced millions by now. So we have a lot at our beck and call here.
Are you going to give us this?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in a better form. I just was kind of putting it together, this morning. But yeah, so we have a lot at our beck and call, and this has nothing to do with what each tag facilitator already has.
Right, right.
Yeah. But I think that sometimes pulling them apart and saying, okay, here they are. They're all separate products. They were created and called into being for specific things, and they can be activated at a command. Now we sometimes lose track that there's a lot at our disposal here. You see. Okay. You need a break before we get into the next?
Nope.
Okay. So this is where we're going today, and it's going to be, we're going to be doing some work.
Okay.
I'm calling it another tag information class, applying a tag. So I want you just to think of someone in your life who pushes you away, or you feel pushing them away.
I got that. I mean, that's my daughter.
Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on that. Usually it'll be a female, just like you said. And the reason we're doing this is because we often just let it be, or if it's us being pushed away, we put a label over here on that person, and it's our label. And then we just move away. You know, we never investigate what the energy might be.
Right, like with Rose, she pushes me away, and my response to it is to very deliberately not be insulted or upset. I'm not taking it from an ego point of view. It's like, this is what she needs at this point in time, and I respect that.
Right.
I'm not going to push her. I'm not going to force her. I'm not going to be one of those people who like makes their kid have conversations with them like pulling teeth.
Right. Right.
But that is also limiting.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I don't really know what the energy is.
And the reason it's important is because for various reasons, women themselves in times past have created contracts that says in order for, in circle, in order for us to be safe, we have to hide our light. And so we're going to hide our skills, we're going to hide our light. And we promise one another that we will be small. And if you start to get bright, I'm going to pull you down. And if I start to get bright, you pull me down. So by contract, we're there to pull each other down and keep each other small.
Right. Well, that's interesting because I feel like what I did was really damp my light so she could shine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
she shines.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I have facilitated that for as long as I was in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did then was to damp my light to the point of becoming ill.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of like, that the interactions there in that energy field, but in addition to those kinds of things that women did themselves, the outsiders have absolutely amplified that women fight each other. Why? Because that makes them turn to the men in their life. Why? Because the men in their lives were the ones who had the ownership ships. So I have heard almost from the beginning, as soon as I started working within organizations, the leaders of organizations, because I have felt all along that TAG is for leaders. That's who I work with. I work with leaders. And these women would say to me, why is it? I mean, there are organizations there, it's serving a purpose, it's making a difference, they're growing. And at a certain point, they start infighting and collapse the organization. Why do we do that? Well, that's what happens. That's what we do. So investigating that and putting that into our TAG work is really important, because who are we? Who are we? We began, some of us before we came together, but certainly what did we come together to do first? Women remaking the world. We came to say, women, grow, 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 grow. And yet we get to a certain point and we don't, what do? We start in, we can, this is what would happen. Push you away, push me away. It came up for me again in relationship to, here are many women in our circle of friends and comrades and allies and etc. who are now putting their head up at that, they put their head up and we're going, cheering you on, stand on your own two, cheering you on. And then now they're starting to make their mark. They're starting, here's a class, here's a workshop. And I've said before, why aren't we continuing to cheer each other up? But we get to this point and then we somehow, there's something that pushes us away from each other.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, because that's what I see.
I do.
That was the whole purpose of the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It was not me promoting everybody. It
Right.
was a collaboration. So we
Could
kind of
promote
like
each other.
finger, right?
Right.
We're feeding the whole collaboration.
Right.
And instead, what I see I don't see infighting, or I haven't experienced infighting,
Right.
but what I see is like this fragmentation.
Fragmentation, yes. And that says to me that there's still the energy there,
Right.
and we are going to run into it. So let's acknowledge, put it on the table that goes like, oh, let's not just let it flow us away. Let's not have us fighting each other or pushing each other. Let's say, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. What is it we're going to do about it? Because our commitment was that we're going to remake the world. And we can't remake the world if we crash ourselves and each other. We can't remake the world. And so looking in your own life, like with your daughter, or, you know, I'm going to look into for me, where can we then practice a concept, apply a concept in order to become proficient at eliminating it? So this is what we're going to do. The most, I think the best tool to use here is the soul integration.
Like we did last week with a different set of.
I think the same set of questions.
Okay.
I haven't pulled it up. I'm going to pull that up because there's one. You probably have. I'm going to. Do you have a paper there?
I have
If you have.
I have my notes from last week where I copied all of the questions.
Yeah. See, like these questions are who in my, it would be, first of all, who in my space and you know knows about the angst between Rose and I. Who knows about that? And who are you? Where are you? Do you have a name you'd like me to call you? Tell me about that. What is it you do? Are those the questions you have?
Who in my field knows about it? Do you have a name you'd like to be called? Where are you held in my body? What job you have in my life regarding the situation? Are you of my light?
Yes.
What outcome am I part of?
Now that's not what we're going to do, because you want to know is, what you want to know is, okay, you're of my light, but you know about the angst.
Right.
Tell me about the angst. What happens? What do you step in with? How does Rose respond, etc.? What about the angst? So what you're going to do is have that part tell you about the angst, what happens or what happened, and how, and then what is it that this part steps in with? Might step in with push energy. It might step in with turn down energy. And then how does she respond to it? It's similar to some of the questions in the tag work, really, in the tag session, like what happens? How do I respond? How does Rose respond? What does, you know, and what's Rose left with, and what am I left with? And then great, okay, let's put all of those individuals, her response, your response, in this action, you know, in the hands of the angels while you time travel. Where did it begin, and how do I make a change? You see, so that's what we're going to do. To see what is it that's, and you know, and in this situation, it's been around a long time, you know, and so you might go, great, make that change, bring it back, so that part that was pushing her away for the reason that no longer exists can be blessed. Thank you very much, in the hands of divine good. Now, is there another part that keeps us pushed away? That's what we're going to work on, because I think we are getting to a point in our community, which and in the world at large, we need women who are working together right up through the whole blast into new. Or we can't afford to let this fracturing happen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Now,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you get started. I am going to copy and make because I have the questions, but it's in the whole dialogue. I want to put them into a really, like what we just did, I want to put them into a paper like that. And then I'll put it up on the screen. Okay?
So I'll
And-
turn off my camera and get some water.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and let's go for like 20 minutes for now. Is that good?
That's perfect.
Because then we can complete. But okay, I'll see you in 20.
Okay, great.
Bye. Hello, Emma. Are you ready?
Give me one more moment.
Got it.
Okay. You're muted.
There I am. Okay. Okay, how was that for you?
That was good.
Anything you want to share?
Sure. So I asked who in my field knows, and I said, is there anyone in my field who knows? Yes. Do you have a name you'd like to be called? Tirulana. Isn't that pretty?
Carolina, yeah, that is pretty.
So I asked if the energy was held in my body. They said, no, it's in my field and Rose's field. And
Ah,
so, what job do you have in my life regarding the situation? And what I first saw were like jagged teeth, but
wow.
then it shifted perspective, and it was like, you know, in a cartoon where like the zigzag comes and it shifts the land one side to the other.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like that. It started out looking like teeth, and it was widening between us.
Huh.
She's on one side, I'm on the other, and there's this zigzag split within abyss. Are you of my light? Yes.
Wow.
So I said, tell me about this angst between us. And there's mist. What I saw was there's mist over the land. And Rose and I are both lost on either side. And
Mm.
we're both afraid to call out to one another in case we're heard. By not by each other, but by whatever is hunting us. And so we each encounter that jagged split, and we don't know how to cross it or if it's safe to do so. And sometimes we glimpse one another, but very, very briefly. So then I said, okay, so let's go back to the seed moment. We're both in female bodies. I'm in an authority position, but she is older. And so she felt not lovable enough, she felt alone. I felt emotional pain and imbalance from her. And then her belief is I, Emma, is the source of fear and chaos. And that my belief was Rose is the source of pain and illness.
Interesting. Labels way back.
And I think that is very true for today. Like, I think she sees me as incredibly chaotic. And and for Rose, it's like, I don't blame her, but you know, she has been the source of physical pain and illness. So I did the time travel. We were having a disagreement. She felt she should have the authority given her age, but my position in the community gave me the actual authority to decide. I was afraid of the rumors I'd been hearing from other villages, and I wanted to hide our people. She felt her point of view was not heard, and she was not seen. We were both correct in what we wanted, but the disagreement created that fracture, and we split.
Ah.
So freeze frame, and I traced it back. The way I trace back is I just ask my team to, like a thread, where are the outsiders?
Right.
And so they had been working on creating divisions in villages between strong women.
Yep. Yep.
And it was a worldwide plan. So freeze frame, PTO, deep six. And then what I do is I have them trace from the outsiders back to the whole web around the world and then get rid of that thread. So then I went back to the village, and then with that change and the disagreement led instead to further discussions and a better plan.
Mhm.
And so now after our call, I'll go back and I'll bring in the teachers and do the discernment and the Sophia stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was really good.
that is really good. The reason I said labels, it was like, that was the next piece I wanted to put on the table, is that, and I go with the landmark, you did landmark, but the landmark communication course, and it shows how when you put a label on someone, they cannot be anything but that label. And here it is labeled from eons ago, generations ago, and here it is still here for you to make a difference, to change the label, just like, in the present day moment. And how often we have, absolutely, when the angst happens, we put a label on the other, because we make up stories. That's who we are. That's how we create new. We make up a story, so we label, and that very label causes the separation to continue to occur. And it's through the generations that
Right.
that label was there. But what was so powerful, the how you traced it back, outsider to the impact that the outsider intentionally put in place to separate women, strong women, from each other.
Right.
So powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you still got Sophia other pieces to add. It'll be interesting as you energize that and let it do its thing, how that might begin to change. We'll change the energy, and that's what's most important, because you
Right.
don't want that into any other place, especially with you and Rose. Wow, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Kudos. Wow.
What about you?
What I did is, of course, I took some time to make simplified steps, and where I was taken, Michelle and I, we go out to eat a fairly good amount of time, because for Michelle, it's an emotional thing for her. So, if I say, hey, what should we have for dinner tonight? I've got XYZ. And she says, I've got to eat out. We go eat out, period. That's just the way it is. So we're sitting down to dinner a couple of days ago, and I went up to talk to her, and I couldn't look her in the eyes. And I knew in that moment, I couldn't look her in the eyes. I was looking all over the place, but not in her eyes. And of course I didn't in the moment go back. So it was like, what's that about? And I said, so who knows about that? And it was like a voice, I do. If she sees me, then it will, let's see, if she sees me, she would be frightened. So, and I said, why? Because she doesn't know how to integrate ghosts in her life. I went, okay, are you Carolyn? They said, yes, they were quite close. Carolyn, she said, yes. She said, I just wanted to feel the two of you. So I showed up. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize your presence, because in that moment I didn't. I just went, whoa, I can't look her in the eye. That was weird. And she said, that's okay. You were not afraid, which had that been the case, if you were afraid, then I would have left and I maybe not even come back again, but you weren't afraid. So it was perfect. I said, and then I said, you see that she could use your help. She's really got a lot on her plate. So we had a conversation and what she could bring to, in a safe way, for Michelle to help her at this moment in time. And she said that's really what she wanted to be able to do. So that's where I was taken. So
Wow.
all in all, good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend. So here we go.
Here we go. We're going to change the world.
Yes, we've got to change and eliminate this division that's just fueled by the outsiders. Okay, love.
Thank you, Sharon.
Much love.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon for sure. Love you. Bye.
Bye.